Affinity 3 comes with an assets panel that you can save a whole range of different things to. Not everything is saved perfectly. And I'm just going to go through this panel, and I've created a variety of different things like gradients, pattern layers, also have things of course like images, etc. All those sort of things can be saved to the assets, PC or Mac. So where's the assets? Well, you can find it in the window and just down here to general and assets. And you can see the panel here. Now, I've created a category for it. All you need to do is just go up here on the right side and create a new category. And I've gone for one called Andrew. That's me. So Andrew, create a new category, and then you can create beneath that subcategories. You don't have to. You could just use the basic category, perfectly reasonable. But you can go here and create a subcategory. And I've done that here where I've been creating a gradient and also other things. Now, when you create it, you have to rename it to gradient. It doesn't do it automatically. But you can store different things. Why would you want to do that? Well, you might have stuff that you maybe have logo one. You may have things that you work with a particular design. You might want to use that over and over again. And it's super useful to have an assets panel that you can just save things to. Now, of course, there's probably a cost to the system, how it stores it, the size and all that sort of thing. I'm not going to go into that. I don't even know where it's actually stored physically on your disk. But you'll notice if you go up here to the assets, you'll notice you've also, and I didn't notice this at first, I got the default one and I thought, oh, it doesn't come with anything. And I think that's a slight mistake, I think, part of Affinity 3. It would be nice if they had added a load of sample ones right at the start. Basic ones, like they do in Illustrator and other applications, where they've got 5 or 6 different things, just to give a suggestion to people what they can do with it. But they haven't. And you can expand out, and you can see I've got a group there. Haven't got much stored in that. It's probably better to organise it. So this one's really useful. Simply flat icons, and there's by Anatolia Babi, apparently. And I don't know exactly about the use of these. Now, that's one thing that I always slightly think that's annoying, because I have no idea if you can use these commercially or not. So they've created these things like plane, and all you have to do is just drag it out there. You can see a lovely design of a plane, a notebook you drag out. So they're just useful things that someone's created. And I love that. Really, really nice. And I hope they add some more in the future, of course. It's always just great to have a load of resources, maybe on the Affinity website. So you could just download them, say, a whole load of different sort of notebook designs or web designs that you might like to use. I think it's just great. And you can see here all these sort of different designs, announcements, etc. So worth checking out. But again, I have no idea about the licensing of them. Maybe there's some documentation explaining the use for those. Okay, let's just remove those, because the first thing I want to do is just go back to this one. And this is my one, the Andrew one. And I've got gradients. So let's just go through these now. I don't know if there's a limit to the number of things you can add. Maybe there is. Maybe it's 1,000, 10,000. I do not know. But I've got this category here, subcategory, and just their gradient. I just drag it over. Now, this is not the actual gradient. You can't just save a gradient over into the assets. It needs to be something that's like a rectangle or circle, something that stores it, a container. So I've got that, and you can see here, I've just created a design. And this gradient is, of course, then once you've got it, you've got this rectangle, you can always copy the thing, this gradient, very simple. So also you can manipulate it. So let's just go here to the fill tool, and you can see then like that, you can just drag this and move this around. And also what you can do is you can, if you want, very quickly add it to your swatches. So how to do that? Well, what you need to do, go to Window, of course, find the swatches. Here's the swatches panel. And you can see I've got here the swatches panel, and I've got gradients. So once you've got this, and you can see if I've already got it, but if you haven't got it, you've got this design. It doesn't mean you don't have to store it then in your swatches. You might have other designs. You might have got rid of it over the years, but you've got it stored away in your assets. And to actually add it, just go up here and select the Move tool. Most cases, Move tool, you'll notice what happens. In the swatches panel, you get the picture there. If you don't do that, if you're just using it as the fill, you'll just get the colour, which is not what you want. What you want is the gradient itself. And then you can simply go here and click here, and you can see added. And of course, you can manipulate this using the fill tool. So if I just go here, the fill tool, I can then resize this, create all different types of designs. Go down here as well. You've got this pigment blend, which you can set slight variation there, which I think is quite nice. I'm surprised they didn't extend this to include features like Photoshop, where they've got stripe options, where you can have it as solid colours. Will be lovely. Also various things like, well, different types of blends, but they've just got this pigment blend, which is still great. And you can go here to elliptical, and you can see then you can manipulate it. So it's a great way to use this. And also, of course, if you want to save this, all you need to do, you got this design, you could save it over here, but maybe you use this sort of design all the time, you want it for future use. You can then, with this gradient here, just make certain you've got this, and you go here. That's all you need to do. Just go to this side, not any of these other ones. If you do that, it'll save it to another location. We don't want to. I want to save it to my gradient, so I'm just going to click here, and what I've got selected, I can add from selection, and that's what's selected. And you can see then I've got rectangle. Again, you can go there, right click. So all you need to do, you can rename the asset. If you make a mistake, then you can just obviously delete it. That's always a great option as well. Simply delete. Why have I done it as a list? And you can see I can click up here. If I go here, and you can see you've got options here to show as list. That's what I've been using. I don't like the option, the default option, because it doesn't show the name, or particularly it's not very useful. And sometimes the preview is not brilliant. Therefore, it's nicer to actually rename it to something useful, and you can see that much clearer in the list option, I think, personally. You may think different. So if I just turn it off, you can see what happens. See what I mean? You can hover over it, but sometimes it's not particularly clear what you're actually going to get when you do this. So I prefer the option here, click here, and again, just go down here, show as list. You've also got other options for different backgrounds and things. You might want it light, etc. Okay, so you've got this gradient, and you can, of course, use these other gradients and create different designs. They could be saved with many other things as well. You can also save pattern layers as well. Really useful. I use a lot of pattern layers. Love to combine them. So it's great to have a selection of patterns. Now, I have got, in my earlier version, obviously Affinity Photo, I did have a lot of pattern layers. I haven't now, so I'm going to start adding them again. So just there, you see pattern layers, and all I need to do is here, just drag across, and you can see then I've got a pattern layer, which I can use this, the Move tool, just to resize. You don't have to go with that. You might want that small size like that. Maybe rotate it, and so on. So what you can then do is, if I want to, with this selected, all I did is go over here and add from selection. And again, you can see the pattern there. You could call it maybe smaller dots, all those kind of things. And you've got here the mirror option. It remembers all these sorts of things, which is really useful. Now, that's where it goes wrong in places. There are certain places where it does have problems. Now, what you can also do is, and this is going to look very ugly, but I'm just going to quickly do it so I can show you. Drag this pattern over here. You've got two. And I can then go here, I can go through here, and I say darken. I'm just going to use a blending mode over here in the layers panel. So I've got two pattern layers there. Well, what I can do is I can select this and this, just select both of them, and then I can right click and I can group. And now I've got this group. I can then, again, with this pattern layer, this is the one that's selected, it's grouped. And that's a key thing. Grouping means that they're going to be stored together. Otherwise, you'd find you get multiple items, which is not really perhaps what you want. So you've got this design, and I might again resize it, might rotate it. So I'm going to go with this. I say it's not brilliant, but let's just quickly do it. And all you need to do, again, you've got it selected, and go to pattern layers, and then you can go here again, add from selection. And you can see then you get this group, and again, you can rename it to whatever you want. So rename it, and you've got this pattern, which you can then just drag over and reuse again and again. So you might have some great texture designs that you really like, just have them stored away, just drag them in very quickly, and you've got them there as a layer, which you can then manipulate, apply effects to, etc., to create all kinds of unique designs. Maybe have like stripe designs, different color combinations, all kinds of patterns can be created from images as well as just your basic gradients, etc. So that is pattern layer. You can see group. Again, you can still continue to manipulate it. You can also save shapes. So you want here, just go over here to shapes. These are vector designs. You see I've only got one there now, but you could just simply just drag over here and you've got your reds. Maybe you use red squares a lot. I don't know. So quickly, a red square there, you've got your design. Maybe create a light, something like that. Just some design. Now, with shapes, you can store it as a preset. It's super easy. Just go down here, context toolbar, and there's an option here. You can just save it, but you can also just save it to your assets as well. So assets, again, I've got that selected. Maybe decide, oh, I've got a different color. Let's just change the color. And maybe let's just got there, I've got black there, and let's just change this. And you can see you create lots of different things. You maybe add different strokes, pass brushes to it. You might create some truly unique designs there. Again, once you've got that selected, again, go over here and again, click there on the right side here, menu, add from selection, and it's stored away. And again, you could rename it. Obviously, you've got two called rectangle. You may want to call it a thin stripe or something. But maybe you could also combine it with different appearances. So you've got different sort of multiple colours combined, whole range of things, maybe different gradients for it, and so on. So maybe you want to add a star. So I've got here the star tool, just go over here to the star tool. I create a star, I can manipulate the star, I can create all kinds of unique designs here, maybe change this because that's a bit there. Maybe add layer effects to it. You can always do that. Layers panel, whole range of options here. Other things as well, all can be added. And now, once you've got this design, again, as long as you go here to shapes, just click here and add from selection. And you can see you now got a star. So at any point, you can always just drag over here and you can rapidly add multiple stars super quick, just using this without actually having to go to your star tool, etc. So you can create a whole range of star designs like this in your layers panel. And you can modify them, of course, just using down here all the various options here. You can also save meshes. Now you can save meshes to your swatches panel, but again, I've just got a rectangle here, and you of course create all kinds of different ones. So rectangle, I can then drag this over. I've got this lovely multicolored design, and with that, I can go then here, select the fill tool, and you can see you've got your grid there. And of course, I can manipulate it. I can hover over this while I've got this. I can just double click, add additional options here. I can then go and change the colours and tweak it in countless ways. Once I've done that, I can then just simply, again, just go over here, this right side menu, add from selection, and then you've got this design. Obviously the colours in this case are exactly the same, but it's stored away, and you can see I drag it over here, and again, go to the fill tool, and you can see the structure is there, and you can then manipulate it a bit more. Now again, you could do this with the swatches panel, but it's super quick just to drag it over. And let's just remove this one. I'm just going to delete that. Now, once you've got that, another option, you could go over here. Let's just go and select a different shape, I think, maybe a star or a diamond. Let's go for a diamond. And you can click here, and you can see then, because you had that selected before, you can now see your mesh color also there. So you can use it in that way. And again, you can always, if you want to save that diamond design, maybe use a lot, add from selection, just store it away. And you can see now you've got your diamond one with that mesh design. You can also save filter layers. If you go up here, you've got pixel, and you've got here, new layer filter layer. You've got all these options here. When you've got maybe different designs, different things you create using, say, the pinch punch, twirl, etc., you can just click here and you can see I've got this rectangle or another rectangle, again with an effect actually added. And you can use this. Now, I have to say, manipulating the filter effect with the layers is tricky. I don't think I've ever actually mastered it. It just doesn't seem to work and please put in the comments below if you know a reason why, but it does seem if you try and move the filter layers between different shapes, it doesn't seem to actually remember it. Not particularly, not consistently anyway. I think you can group them to get the effect, but even then it's slightly quirky. So I just point that out. It's not perfect. Here's the rectangle. I can drag this over and you can see I can move this around. It's just a basic rectangle, but with a glitch effect. You can find that here, obviously pixel, and you can go down here, new light filter, distort, and of course glitch. It's just a basic glitch with I think it's shred or whatever it is. And you can resize this design. You can see you can create a variety of designs, and then you can see over here you've got the glitch effect. That's in the layers panel, and you can just click on here and you can manipulate it again. You can just change this, you can change the pixel spacing, and you can maybe reduce it down like that. And of course you could save that. All you need to do is just go here, again, this one here, just with it selected, again, go to the filter layers, click here and add from selection. And then you can see then a little very, very, very tiny preview, but you could put like the word glitch or something so you would know. Let's just remove this one now. Let's just delete that. And again, just drag over here. And you can see as you move it around, you get that. And again, you can drag it over here. Drag it over here. So you can see very rapidly you could build a quite complex background of different designs, maybe a very distressed background, all kinds of different designs. And you can recolor them. Click here and just quickly just recolor the underlying shape. And of course, you can also modify this shape. But as mentioned, moving around does seem to be a bit tricky, personally. Never really got it to work 100%, but you can always add effects. So click there, go to 3D, and you can see then you've got a design like that. Super quick and easy. And again, you can duplicate that or store that in the filter layers. Here's another one, rectangle. And you can see this one, whatever it is, click there, just click again there, and you can see that's a scramble effect. And I think that's a great little effect. Again, it's just a square. You could change it, modify it. You can always just convert it to curves and then manipulate the actual vector design. But you can then simply, again, go to this rectangle, just drag this over, and you can see then you can build up this quite complex design just by adding 2 or 3 of these very rapidly. You can see then, move those around, again, recolor them if you want. You could build up a very complex covered background design. Super easy, super quick, using these filter layers, which you just stored away. Maybe use this sort of design each and every time. Now, a similar thing you could do, adjustments. There is adjustments. There is, in this case, an actual panel for adjustments. So perhaps not so useful, but I just wanted to show you, you can save them. So if you just go over here and just drag this over, and you can see this is a rectangle again. You could choose anything. It doesn't have to be anything amazing, but it's just stored here, the HSL shift. And you can then, of course, just click here and then modify it. So it's a super quick, easy way of adding a design with an adjustment. And of course, you could add additional adjustments. It doesn't have to be just one. It could be more than that. And then they could be saved again. Just make certain you select the whole thing there. And again, with that, just go here and add from selection. And you can see you've got that, maybe a green effect, etc. Now, you probably find you can actually save the individual ones as well. I haven't tried that, but it's possible. A lot of these things, quite often you suddenly find they can do it, but you might find that it doesn't do anything, which is always sometimes I found when I've tried these things, I think, oh yeah, I can save it. Doesn't always work, but you could try it. Perfectly reasonable try. And then there. But again, another thing you can do, try grouping. If you find things don't work, if you've got the effect, doesn't seem to do anything, sometimes I find group resolves it. It does seem to be quite a usual thing with, obviously, Affinity 3. And then Hatch. Obviously, Hatch is a new feature of, obviously, Affinity 3. And I've got, again, exactly the same. I've got a Hatch design. And here is a very basic Hatch design. You can see, as soon as I drag this, obviously, rectangle over, you've got the Hatch design already in it. And then, of course, what you can do, you can, if you want, just go over here, and let's say the fill tool. You can manipulate it, and you can see you've got this, got the context toolbar. If you see that, view, context toolbar, and show. And then you can change it, so maybe one might change this. Now, when you change things here, it doesn't change it here. This is totally not connected with the other thing. The assets you can just save, drag over. And the great thing about that is let's just go here and I can now rotate it. So let's just rotate that. Just rotate it, whatever angle. And again, you can, with this selected, you always go over here. Let's just add from selection. So I've just added that one. Again, you could rename it, maybe thicker lines, etc. And you could create lots of different hatch designs, not just this. But now you can then just drag this over and you can see then you've got this design, and then you go here and darken, multiply. You can run through and try different combinations to create a whole range of different designs. Another thing, let's just undo that, just remove this one. You can, again, let's just go here with the fill tool. Fill tool, you can change the colours. So you can click here and then just change the colour to no fill. So you can just see there, no fill, and it's black. You don't have to keep it black. You can click there and go with, say, red. Exact same. This is selected. Then you can go over here, just click there, add from selection. Got that rectangle. And now you can just drag this over and you can see then you've got two, and you can see through it now because it's got transparency. And also you can always rotate it or do exactly the same, go to the fill tool and then manipulate the angle. So you can rotate that to create different designs, change the size, and maybe click there and change the colour. So you can see you can very quickly get this sort of design. And again, you've got two rectangles, select them. You can then right click and group. Group that. You can then save that to your hatch. So you can get some complex designs, which you can then see rapidly just add each and every time without having to sort of rebuild it each and every time. You can also store text. So just go here, text. Now you might have standard words you use over and over again, and text, not one that I use over and over again, but it's super useful just to drag it out. And you've got your standard designs. Maybe you've got a background set for each of the letters, which you can set here in the context toolbar, and maybe different colours. Maybe add strokes, maybe add effects, maybe click here again, go to the effects at the bottom here, and just click there. Maybe go for 3D to create lovely 3D design there, and close. And again, this can be stored as well. So again, just go here and add from selection. You've got that. You can reuse that. Just simply drag and drag and drag to build up quite a complex text design. Super quick as well. Maybe have all the letters or something. Different A, B, a C and D, etc. Of course, you could always have it in symbols as well. That's another option. But you can save any text. So you could save a whole page of text, maybe a paragraph of text, maybe it's something you use a lot, maybe a sentence or two, maybe famous sentences, I guess, maybe Shakespearean quotes. To save them away, I'm not going to say to be or not to be is an obvious one. And that was said with so much flourish, but no, it wasn't. So you could put it there and then simply just drag it over, maybe style it in a particular way. You could have a whole range of different fonts that you use, different settings. Obviously, you've got a whole range of different options here with your text. See here, you've got styles, different fonts that you've got, and just create all kinds of amazing text, which you can then store and use rapidly that way from the assets. So let's just remove that. Now, probably the one that many people will use this for, and I've probably 90% of the time probably is, and that's images. So images, you just got here, and I've got this Adobe stock image. So I just, there, I've a bit of chocolate bar, as woman's just going to eat, and I've just cropped it, and I've just stored it away. All you need to do is, again, go here, add from selection, whatever you've got selected. Maybe apply effects to it, distort it, blur it, etc. Also, again, you've got here, I've got a group, and the group is made up, if I click to expand it, pixel, pixel, pixel. So they're all the same layer, just grouped. Need to group them, and then you can save, say, 3. You could recolor them, maybe apply adjustments to them, apply effect layers to them, and so on, to create a variety of different designs, which you can then just rapidly bring in for different projects. So you've just got them super easy, super here. And I've got this one here, which I've just created earlier as well. Blurring effect of this one. And again, just bring it in, just drag it. And again, you can resize it, rotate it, all those kind of things. And also apply a different blurring effects, etc. to those designs and combine them as well. Also, layer effects. Again, maybe not so useful, but it's now can be saved. So you can just go over here, rectangle, just drag over here. You can see the layer effects. Again, it's a rectangle. Doesn't have to be anything obviously amazing. Just keep it as a rectangle. You can have all your styles added here. And you can tweak this style, of course, this effect. Just click effects and then just go here and you see you've got bevel and emboss. You might not want bevel and emboss. You might decide, I want the outer shadow, maybe gradient overlay, something different. Maybe you want a colour overlay different, and so on. Just vary it. Again, you can save it away here. Just go here, as long as it's selected. Just go add from selection. If you want to use it on something else, because obviously you might not want to just keep it onto a rectangle, all you need to do is just go here. I'm creating a diamond. Here's a diamond. Obviously the diamond is at the moment using what was last used. But what you need to do is just go here and just go to edit and copy. So edit and copy, and then select this one, this design, and then go to edit, and then down here to paste. And you'll notice there's an option, effects. Actually, there's also style. Let's just go with style. And you can see it does that. I don't know if effects does the same. I assume it does. Edit and paste and style. Okay. Yes, there must be a difference. Not going to work out. Maybe the hatch pattern, all those sort of things, maybe are not copied over as well. Okay, so you've got your design here. So you can see you can then use this as a great source for a whole range of layer effects, which you can then manipulate later on as well. And it's a nice visual display. Again, you could give it a better name than just rectangle. And then finally, you got vectors. All you need to do, just save again. Got this basic design, created something like maybe a web page design. You've got a style that you've created. You want to use each and every time. Somebody just drag onto the document, maybe build up a... No, I did notice that you can't create HTML pages from it. You can create PDF documents, but HTML web pages doesn't seem to be a feature. Please let me know in the comments below if you know a way of doing that, but I have not seen how to do that. Obviously, you have to have an external application to then manipulate it if you haven't got the HTML, but the PDF's really good. Okay, so you've got this design. It could be all number of different designs. And again, the key thing is what you need is a group. If you're going to save it, don't save them as the rectangle, etc., all individually. Don't have to, of course, but you can just group, right click on them and group all the vector designs into a single group and then store it here. And it could be anything, whole range of different designs. Like I've done here, let's just click here, circles. And you've got these ones, circle designs that I've added. Did a previous video about those and it's stored in the assets. So I can just use them again and resize them, manipulate them, all those kinds of things. So the assets panel, that's in Affinity 3. Click here and you've got things like sort by categories. So you can go by name or date added, which is pretty useful, I guess, if you want the latest thing. I'm not certain which order it does. When it's date ordered, I assume it's date added, must put it at the top soon, but I haven't checked on that. And also you can import and you can also export. So maybe you want to give it to someone else. All those that work for your project or whatever. Obviously you want to import and export those assets. Also you can expand all, which I'm just going to do. And you can see expand it all and see all those, which is super useful, super quick instead of going through them all, because you might looking for one, you can't find it. I do that all the time. And then you can go here, collapse all, which is really nice as well. And also, conveniently, if you rename everything, and this is always a good reason for renaming everything, is that you can always then just type in red like that. So you might remember it's a red-green gradient, and there it is, red-green. Weirdly, it's not by subcategory, but it still is really great. So you could type in pattern, and then you're going to see all the ones that got the word pattern in it, which I think is really, really useful. And again, click here and you've got options here for change the background, light, etc. I think that's near enough. You can rename categories, duplicate, etc. Also, you've got these option panels, which I really like in Affinity 3. And that's, you can click there and then you can find all the panels you've got. You can search for them and also you can then activate them. So you can say the macros, if you can't remember particularly where the macros is, or perhaps even the assets one as well. A quick recap. The Assets panel is super useful and can be used across documents. So if you create all these assets now, you can use them in 2 or 3 weeks' time or a year's time. All these ones can be simply selected and then dragged in and then used in your document wherever and whenever. Any questions or thoughts, please let me know in the comments below. Bye.